Imagine you are standing before the gate of light. The light, unlike any lamp in this world, it pierces through you and makes every falsehood, every covering vanish. In that moment I heard the invitation, but along with it came another echo. You have been called, but you may not have been chosen. I felt the shock ripple through every cell, because deep within the human soul there is always the desire to believe that the invitation is enough, that merely being present in faith, in ritual, in community is already safe. But the universe does not operate on assumption. It operates on true resonance. Many will hear the call, but only those who vibrate in harmony are truly able to pass through. While I was still living on earth, many times in the readings of soul records, I saw the same vision, the light shining on all, making no distinction between strong or weak, no distinction between rich or poor. Yet there were souls who turned their backs, souls who smiled and nodded in pretense, and souls who trembled as they opened themselves to receive. The call was the same, but the selection unfolded naturally. Like music, the notes in tune continued to sing. The notes out of tune shattered on their own. The gate I saw was not an architecture of golden stone or jade. It was a frequency, a vibration. It appeared only to those who had truly tuned their inner being to align with it. A person may believe they are walking in the right direction, but if their energy is still filled with pride, attachment, resistance, then when they face that gate, they hear only the cold echo, "You have been called, but you are not chosen." In Matthew 22, it is written that many are called, but few are chosen. And in my experience, this is not merely a statement about religious history, but an unchanging law in the field of universal energy. Every soul has heard the call many times, sometimes in dreams, sometimes in moments of sickness or crisis, sometimes in silence at midnight. The call is not biased. It passes through every barrier, but the selection occurs when the soul responds through the way it lives, through surrender, through putting on a new garment. I have seen people who went to church for decades, but when their soul opened in the readings, I saw them still heavy, still wearing the old tattered garments of fear and ego. And I have also seen uneducated and poor people, yet in the moment their soul awakened. Their garment shone so brightly that heaven resonated with them. The gate does not open because of a name, a denomination, or a ritual. It opens because of the truth in vibration. The greatest danger is not rejection, but not knowing that one is living in illusion, thinking they have been chosen, when in reality they have never resonated. In many records I read, I saw how people were bound by the belief that a single prayer, a single offering, an external mark was enough to guarantee them. But the universe is not persuaded by appearance. It only responds truthfully to the energy emitted from the center of the soul. A soul may say, "I believe," but if deep within they are still afraid to let go, still clinging to power, désir, control, then they have already refused the call, and the gate does not open to falsehood. I say this not to plant fear, but to awaken, because the truth is the light is already there. The invitation has already been sent. The banquet is already prepared, and every soul has been called, but it is they themselves who must choose to put on the wedding garment, they themselves who must choose to tune their vibration to enter into harmony. No one can wear it for you. No one can tune it for you. And once you have resonated, the gate does not need to open, because you realize it never had a lock. It is only the vibration of alignment. The invitation has been spoken. The gate still shines bright. And the only question that remains is, at what frequency is your soul vibrating? The parable of the wedding banquet is not just a moral story. It is the map of the soul, a mirror reflecting how the universe operates when the invitation from above is sent down. The king prepared a wedding banquet for his son. That is the image of the source opening a completely new frequency, an eternal space to which every soul is invited. The first guests are the symbol of those who thought they were privileged, those who believed they held the key because they had tradition, law, heritage, but they refused, not because of lack of information, but because their souls had hardened, bound by work, by interests, by comfort. When they rejected it, they did not just miss a banquet. They cut themselves off from resonance with the source. And the universe is never empty. When a vacancy appears, energy will move elsewhere. The king in the story then commanded his servants to go out to the crossroads and invite anyone they met, both good and bad. This is the crucial point. The call is no longer confined to bloodline or status. It is released across all space, through every border, to reach every soul. In the spiritual view, this is the moment when the wave of salvation is released, making the distinction as long as there is still the ability to respond. But the map does not stop there. When the hall was full of guests, the king entered and saw a man without a wedding garment. This is not a minor detail. It is the key to understanding the difference between being called and being chosen. That man had entered, meaning he heard the call and was even present at the banquet, but he had no wedding garment, meaning he rejected inner transformation. He wanted to show up in his own way, bringing with him the old, the unclean, the self-satisfied. And when the king asked him why, he had no answer, because the soul cannot lie when it faces the light. His end was to be cast outside, into the place of darkness and weeping, because it is not outward presence, but true vibration that allows a soul to remain. This is the deepest warning. You may go to church, read scripture, join a fellowship, but if you do not put on the wedding garment of righteousness and aligned vibration, you are still sitting in the wrong seat. The map of the soul in this parable shows 3 layers. The first layer is those who refuse from the beginning, representing closed souls, unwilling to let go of the safety of the ego. The second layer is those who entered but refused to wear the garment, representing souls who enjoy the form but reject transformation, who like safety but will not surrender. And the final layer is those who wear the wedding garment, representing souls who truly merge with the flow of the source, who have released control and let righteousness clothe them as a new energy. This is not a fairy tale. It is an exact description of how the universe responds to the choices of the soul. Each time you refuse, you lock yourself outside the banquet. Each time you enter without the garment, you deceive yourself. And only when you truly put on the new vibration do you become part of the eternal feast. This parable is like a coded map, showing clearly that the invitation is universal, but the selection takes place according to resonance. No one can rely on lineage, on ritual, on title, to stand in the presence of light. Only those who truly wear the garment of new vibration, those who allow their soul to be restructured by the source, find themselves in that hall. This map tells us that the universe is always fair and truthful. It is not deceived by words or form. It only responds to the truth in the energy you emit. And so the parable of the wedding banquet is not just an ancient story. It is the blueprint for every soul on the present journey, reminding that the banquet is ready, the invitation has been sent, and the choice now rests within your own heart. I have seen clearly that the garment in the parable cannot be forged. It is not a piece of cloth or a layer of material clothing, but an energy that covers the soul, an undeniable sign that the person has truly been transformed. When a soul enters the banquet but does not wear the wedding garment, it is not only an act of disrespect, it is proof that they want to keep the old vibration. They want to enjoy being present in the banquet hall but refuse to submit to the law of the light. I have read soul records of those who lived their whole life with the title of believer, always praying, always attending ceremonies, yet the energy that radiated from them was still thick with fear, envy, and desire. They wore a garment of ritual, but their souls were naked before the light. When the king in the parable entered, he saw immediately, and the truth could not be hidden. I understood that the wedding garment is righteousness, that no one can weave for themselves. Human beings can create outer coverings, can clothe themselves in education, position, even charitable deeds. But when the light shines through, all is revealed as tattered cloth. Isaiah once said, "All our righteousness is like filthy rags," and that aligns with what I have seen in the field of energy, where all falsehood dissolves the moment it faces the source. There is only one garment that truly exists. It is the garment given, not the garment made. It is the vibration that Christ places upon the soul when it truly surrenders, a transformation that cannot be mistaken. I remember seeing a woman in a reading. She lived in suffering because she thought she was not holy enough. But in the moment she truly let go, a light covered her, and I saw it like a radiant white garment, not something she created by effort, but something she received. This is the wedding garment that cannot be forged. It does not come from human will, but from the acceptance of being covered by the source. The most dangerous thing is that some believe that simply entering the banquet hall is enough, that being present among a community of believers guarantees safety. But presence does not replace the garment, and no one can escape this. The man in the parable was cast out, not because he was not invited, but because he wanted to stand in glory in his own way. I have seen this repeated countless times. Souls believing that prayer, confession, or a ceremony is enough to mark them as belonging to the source, but when I checked the energy, I saw them still wearing the garment of ego, the garment of pride, the garment of ambition, and the gate does not open for false garments. The question is not whether you have heard the call, but whether you have truly put on the new garment. This garment is the sign of true surrender, when the soul no longer trusts in its own merit, but allows itself to be covered by righteousness from above. In experience, I saw the garment as a delicate yet powerful light, and when one wore it, their entire vibration changed. They began to radiate peace, a deep stillness that needed no explanation. I also saw that the counterfeit could not last long, because their energy revealed itself, and when the light entered, they were stripped bare. This is why the garment cannot be forged. You may deceive people, you may persuade yourself with reasoning, you may build a wall of knowledge and ritual, but the light is not deceived. When the king entered the banquet hall, he saw at once which souls were truly covered and which souls were still naked. And that is the moment with no more excuses. I recount this so you understand that no one can enter the wedding banquet by their own merit. No one can stand before the light wearing a garment woven by their own hands. The only garment accepted is the deep transformation of the soul, a harmony with the rhythm of the source. If you have not put on that garment, pause and be honest, for nothing is more dangerous than believing you are clothed when you are still naked. The gate will test, the light will expose, and the selection will take place. The garment cannot be forged, and only when you have truly worn it will you know you have been chosen. There are those who hear the call resound clearly within their soul, but they never become the chosen, because the call only awakens, while the selection lies in the response. The first group are the outwardly religious. They know the scriptures. They know the laws. They attend every ritual, but their hearts are hardened. They are like the first guests in the parable, receiving the invitation but being too busy with work, with possessions, with the safety of tradition. They think they have secured their place in the banquet hall. But when the light shines upon them, the garment they wear is only form without true vibration. In many soul records I have read, I saw this repetition: people carrying the title of holiness, but whose energy was heavy, closed, not resonating with the truth. The second group are those who chase after miracles and excitement. They gathered around the Lord. They shouted with joy when the loaves multiplied, when the sick were healed. But when they heard the demands of renunciation, of carrying the cross, they turned away at once. They were called, they drew near, but they only wanted blessings without surrender. This kind of soul is easy to recognize. They seek religion when they need comfort, when they need a miracle for their life. But they disappear when faced with the cost of transformation. The third group are those who refuse outright. They hear the invitation, but they love the world more. They choose comfort, choose wealth, choose relationships, choose power. They are like the rich young man in the scriptures who came running, asking, "What must I do to inherit eternal life?" But when he heard the condition, to sell all and follow, he turned away in sorrow. The call resounded, but the attachment in his heart caused him to exclude himself. All three groups share the same point. They were all invited equally, but they did not step through the threshold of selection. The universe is not partial. The vibration of truth goes out everywhere, but only those who resonate truly remain. It is like music. An orchestra may play a symphony, but only the strings tuned correctly join the harmony. The ones out of tune fall away. Many think that hearing is enough, that being present in the community is enough, but the light does not sort by appearance. It sorts by vibration. Those who are called but not chosen often lull themselves in false safety. They believe that knowledge, feelings, or religious activity guarantee their soul, but the truth is that all of it is only a shell. When the light draws near, the shell cracks, and the soul is revealed, naked, without resonance. Without the wedding garment, I have seen the danger of this self-deception. Because it leaves people unprepared, they continue to live calmly, thinking they are secure, while they have never truly surrendered. And when the selection takes place, they are the most surprised. This is what the saying, "Many are called, but few are chosen," warns of, not about numbers, but about the quality of the response. The call is universal. Everyone hears it. But the selection happens in the depth of the soul, where you truly leave behind the ego, truly surrender, truly put on the wedding garment or not. Those who are called but not chosen are not excluded by injustice. They exclude themselves when they cling to the old. When they reject transformation, the universe does not close the door to anyone, but that door opens only with the key of alignment. And if you only hear but do not respond, if you only enter but do not wear the garment, you will remain outside, even though the call has already resounded in your heart. The most dangerous self-deception does not come from an external enemy, but from the soul itself, when it convinces itself that it is safe, while in truth it is still outside the light. This is the most subtle illusion because it gives a person a false sense of security. They think they are chosen simply because they have religion, emotional experiences, trembling moments in worship, yet the energy that radiates from them still carries the marks of fear, desire, and pride. When I read soul records, I saw many people certain that they were in the right place, but the light revealed only layers of old garments, tightly wrapped. They had mistaken fleeting emotion for transformation, confused knowledge with rebirth, and that is the trap of self-deception. You may deceive others with words. You may build an image of piety. You may clothe yourself with position or authority in the community, but you cannot deceive the light, because your energy is the true voice of your soul. When someone says, "I believe," but lives the opposite, when they pray, but their mind is full of envy, when they sing praise, but their heart has not surrendered, all those actions are only a performance. And this performance becomes most dangerous when the actor himself believes he is living truly. This is why Jesus said that many will call him Lord, Lord, listing even their works, miracles, and ministries, but he will answer, "I never knew you." They are deceived by their own certainty, and that confidence turns into their downfall. This self-deception is even stronger than outright refusal, because the one who refuses knows they never followed, but the one who deceives himself believes he already has it, and so he never seeks more, never repents, never adjusts the vibration of his soul. They live in the illusion that they are already clothed in the wedding garment, while in reality still naked. I have seen this in daily life, people making excuses that I have been baptized. I once prayed. I grew up in a devout family, and they cling to those fragments of memory as evidence to reassure themselves. But when they face a true trial, when the truth shines, all that shell dissolves. Self-deception is dangerous because it leaves the soul unguarded. A person who knows they are lost still has a chance to return, but a person who thinks they are already right will never look for a way out. In the energy of the universe, alignment does not come from confession. It comes from true transformation, from living differently, from the soul emitting a new frequency. If you are still comfortable living in sin, still embracing falsehood, still feeding greed and hatred, then the truth is you have not been transformed, and your confidence in calling yourself a believer only takes you further from the light. This is why the warning is repeated. Examine yourself, test your soul to see whether you are truly in the faith. Self-deception is a soft darkness. It is not loud. It is not violent. It only whispers in your mind that everything is fine, that you do not need to change, that you are already good enough. But that whisper keeps you outside the wedding banquet, where you sit among the crowd but without a garment, where you believe you are safe until the king enters. Then there are no more excuses, no more second chances, because the truth is exposed. And that is why self-deception is the most dangerous enemy. It makes you one who does not know. You are asleep while the light has long been calling you awake. The signs of the chosen do not lie in words or rituals, but in the true transformation, in the vibration of the soul. I have often seen this difference in soul records, where someone would come with the doubtful question of whether they had been chosen, and the light revealed the answer, not through certificates, but through the energy they emitted. The chosen are, first of all, those who have been reborn, not just a change in outward lifestyle, but a restructuring at the very root. You are no longer the old person with a touch of spiritual decoration. You become a new creation, with new roots, a new heartbeat, new desire. I once saw a man come in despair. He thought he was ruined, that God had abandoned him, but in the moment he fully surrendered, a light covered him, and his vibration changed immediately. No one needed to confirm it. The energy radiating from him was the proof that he had been clothed in the new garment. The second sign is obedience. The chosen do not just listen. They live in alignment. Obedience here is not reluctant compliance, but a natural harmony with the rhythm of the source. When they love because love flows within them. When they avoid sin, it is not out of fear of punishment, but because the new nature within them no longer resonates with darkness. In one reading, I saw a soul who had fallen into repeating sin again and again. But after true transformation, the energy within had no place for the old cycles. They recoiled from what once enticed them, not because of rules, but because the new life within them could not endure the false vibration any longer. The third sign is hunger for truth. The chosen cannot live long in emptiness. They crave the Word of God. They crave meditation. They crave to be near the source of light. I have seen many who call themselves believers, yet their minds can go months without seeking, without reading, without silence, and their energy reveals a dryness. In contrast, the chosen seek truth. As one seeks water in the desert, they open the scriptures, they listen within, they hunger for more, and that hunger is the proof they are alive, and not pretending. The fourth sign is the fruit of the Spirit. I do not see it only in actions, but in the vibration that flows out of them: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, humility, faithfulness, in self-control, all flow like an underground current from their being. Some may speak roughly, some may not appear outwardly devout, but when their soul radiates a peace so deep that everyone around feels at ease, that is a sign that cannot be denied. This fruit is not perfect immediately, but it is always present, growing steadily over time. The unchosen may imitate actions, but they cannot create true vibration, while the chosen cannot hide it even without trying. The final sign is perseverance. The chosen do not only begin, they hold fast to the end. I have seen souls endure suffering, loss, betrayal, even moments when their faith seemed crushed. Yet they returned. They did not give up, because within them was a new life that could not be extinguished. Like a flame blown hard, it may bend, but it does not go out. This is the deepest sign, because only those who are truly chosen have the strength to stand firm to the end. Looking back at all these signs, I realize no one can counterfeit them. A person may pretend to be a believer, may pretend to be devout, but they cannot produce rebirth. They cannot sustain obedience. They cannot live in hunger for truth. They cannot bear the fruit of the Spirit. And they cannot persevere when everything collapses. The chosen reveal themselves not by titles, but by the living energy within them, a light that cannot be extinguished. And that is the only way to know whether you are truly chosen or not. The calling from the universe does not resound with drums or bells. It comes as a vibration that slips into the deepest parts of the soul. I have witnessed that moment many times in soul records, when a person seemed to be moving along the ordinary orbit of life, suddenly feeling an urge they could not explain, a voice not heard by the ears but rising from within. It is the moment the soul hears the frequency of the source, the melody inviting it to return. Everyone hears it in some way, some in a dream, some in sickness, some in a sudden silence amid chaos. But not everyone recognizes or responds. This calling is not partial. It is broadcast across every wave. It touches both the devout and the lost. Yet the difference lies in the reaction. Some hear and resist immediately, fearing that truth will destroy their illusion. Some hear and are moved, but keep it only as a beautiful memory before returning to their old life. And some, though trembling, decide to nod, allowing the calling to carry them, letting it reshape their whole life. This is where selection happens. The universe does not reject anyone, but the vibration only chooses those willing to resonate. In Matthew it says, "Many are called, but few are chosen." And I see that this is the law of energy. The wave is sent out, but only the string tuned rightly vibrates, while the loose or broken string cannot make a sound. The calling from the universe is deeply personal. It is not only a common signal, it is a touch to each soul in a unique way. I once saw a carpenter hear the call while working, not through a miracle, but simply by a sudden sense that he no longer belonged to the world as before. His heart urged him to seek something greater. I also saw a young woman hear the call in the grip of a deadly illness. Lying on the border between life and death, she felt the invitation of the light, and from that moment her life changed. All of this shows that the calling does not depend on circumstance. It depends on the readiness of the soul. The danger is that many hear but deliberately ignore it. They know within there is a whisper urging them to let go, urging them to change. Yet they cling tightly to the world. They think there will be another chance, that they can delay, but the calling does not always repeat. Some soul records I read show that opportunities come and go, and if ignored too many times, the calling grows faint, leaving a terrifying silence, and that is the greatest loss. Not that one was not invited, but that one was invited and no longer sensitive enough to hear. The calling from the universe is not a burden, it is an opportunity. When you hear it, it means the door has opened, the garment is ready, the banquet is prepared, but the choice to enter and to wear the garment is still yours. I have always believed that no soul is abandoned at random, only souls that refuse to resonate forever. This fills me with both trembling and hope, because I know the calling is always sounding, always available to anyone who still breathes. And with just one honest moment, a soul can turn its entire course. When I speak of this calling, I am not speaking of one religion. I am speaking of the rhythm of the source, a rhythm that echoes through every culture, every century, every life. It does not belong to one language, one people, or one tradition. It belongs to the very truth that created the universe. And each soul, when it hears, must answer with its way of living. Therefore, I say to you that if you are feeling an inexplicable urge in your heart, do not ignore it. Do not let it pass. It is not just a fleeting emotion. It is the universe calling you. It is the source whispering that the banquet is ready and the garment is waiting. The calling from the universe has already gone forth, and the only question left is how you will respond. I know that in the end, every path leads to one single moment where the soul must choose. No longer able to rely on the crowd, on doctrine, or on the comfort of habit, that moment is like when the door of the wedding banquet has opened. The music is playing, and the king enters to look directly at each person. There is no place left to hide, no words left to justify, only the bare truth of the soul. I have seen many times in readings that the true choice does not happen in words, but in the decision of the heart. A person may say their whole life that they believe, that they follow, but only when they truly surrender, truly let go, truly put on the wedding garment, does the vibration change. That decision is not a one-time ritual. It is a state of living, a repetition every day, every hour. In the face of temptations and fears, I have understood that the deepest prayer needs no many words. It is the sigh from the depths, the cry that I cannot save myself. Please cover me. When a soul utters that with complete honesty, the wedding garment falls like light, and no power can take it away. I remember clearly a woman who sat before me in despair. She had gone through losses that seemed impossible to endure, and she said, "I have lost everything." But the moment she added, "Please take what remains of this life," a flow of energy descended. Her eyes lit up, and I knew she had just put on the new garment. That was proof that the true decision does not come from the lips, but from the soul, ready to give up everything to remain in the light. In my own life, I too have had to face that decision, realizing that all knowledge, all healing work, All reputation meant nothing if I did not truly resonate with the source. I had to kneel in silence, not to read more, not to preach more, but to cry out from the depths that I belong to, you. And in that moment I knew that I was not only called but chosen, not because of merit, but because of total surrender. The deep prayer of the soul is what keeps us in the banquet hall. When laughter resounds, when the light fills the place, and when the King looks straight into our eyes, it is not a casual request, but a complete turning. It pulls us out of self-deception, out of false garments, to truly stand clothed in the wedding robe. I have seen many souls live their whole lives in vagueness, never daring to utter the true prayer, because they were still afraid, still clinging. But I have also seen people in a single brief moment, facing loss or truth, cry out with their whole being, and their lives were changed forever. That proves it is not time spent in religion that decides, but the real moment when you surrender completely. I leave you with this echo that the call has sounded. The banquet is ready, and the door is still open. But at some point the door will close, and then every illusion will vanish. What remains is only the question, are you truly wearing the wedding garment? I have chosen my answer, and I know that nothing is more important than living in that alignment every day. Ask your soul, do not let your mind deceive you. Speak the deepest prayer from within. Let the light cover you, and you will know that you are not only called, but truly chosen. For at the final moment, when the King looks straight at you, the only words you long to hear are, "You are mine." And then the echo will no longer be fear, but eternal peace.